So, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Flavor. Today I'm with the beautiful and talented my sister-in-law, Chef Deborah
Hi.
Caplan.
Hi, everyone.
So, for the people that don't know about you, just for right now actually, because you're about to blow up, I want to introduce you. So, you're a professional chef in New York. You used to work at Butter, a fancy restaurant owned by Alex Guarnaschelli.
Not owned by Alex, but yeah,
Well,
she's the executive chef
she's
there.
the head of it, and then you went on to be executive sous chef for.
Sugarcane Raw Bar Grill in Brooklyn.
That's great. And you have plenty of camera experience with being on.
A little bit.
3 times on Chopped.
3 times on Chopped.
You won twice.
I won twice. I got to the second round of the final. Womp womp. We didn't win the whole thing, but that's okay.
They were all amazing.
Thank you.
And then you went to Iron Chef.
I was, Alex Guarnaschelli sous chef on Iron Chef twice. 2 wins, undefeated.
Nobody can beat those lobster meatballs.
Yeah, right? My lobster meatballs is my signature now.
Yeah.
And now we have another one coming up.
Yeah, something coming down the pipeline.
There's
That's amazing.
another one coming up.
We're gonna see
and
a lot
that's
of
something
you.
else in the works.
Yeah. I'm happy to say that I met you before. You were famous.
We'll see what happens with it.
All right. So yeah, well, this one theme is happiness, and I want to talk about it with you because I think you're one of those persons that embodies that energy, like happiness or cheerfulness. Obviously, we all have our ups and downs, but I think that's definitely something that defines you. So I want to start by asking you, what's happiness for you?
Happiness is finding self-worth for me. That's where I found happiness. I thought that happiness came from everything outside of me. And that's something that I'm 32 now, about to be 33, that I just figured out last year. I think I was always able to give happiness. I think I was always able to be a joy to other people and in situations that I was in, but I always struggled with happiness within. So
Right.
I figured that out in the past year of my life, finally, what falling in love with yourself is and what being happy really is. So if you don't have it within, happiness is temporary, and it's always determined on outside sources, and your values determined on everything else in your life. So, until you tackle getting to know yourself and getting to understand why you tick and what it is you need and, all of your wants and desires and all those things, you're never really going to be fully happy.
No, right on. Actually, it's super funny you mentioned all of this because we've been talking about needing like check boxes in order to be happy, like this external validation, like feeling you're accomplishing or feeling that you have this in your life in order to be happy. That's something we were talking about, and also we just talk about this almost. It was an epiphany for me, discovering like what all people want at the end is just feel they matter. And you started saying by like self-worth is like, I think that's the most important thing, like realizing and almost telling to the world that you matter and being like happy with you and comfortable with you and like at peace. And I think that's more important.
It's true. I'm incredibly blessed to have the family that I have because, they kind of set the platform for who should be in my life and who I should let in. I've just been blessed in that area. So I always feel like I have a backbone, even when I don't feel like it's my own. But they've always been there to show me my worth and value and set the tone for everyone else who I should allow in my life. So I'm blessed in that area, but I think that even if you didn't have that family and those friends and those people to keep you grounded, you still have to find something within that,
Right.
Makes you proud of yourself and makes you feel like I'm okay with just me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with, everything else being horrible in my life as long as, I'm okay with who I am as a person and who I'm trying to be and, all these, we should always try to take steps to be better. So, I think for the longest time I had those check boxes of like, as long as I'm dating somebody, or you know, if, just as soon as I get married or as soon as I have a kid, then everything's gonna like work out and everything's gonna be happy. And what if those things never happen? You know, so you know, it's important to like just find it. And like one of my favorite little cartoons is somebody holding a balloon and it says happiness on it, and somebody else coming up and being like, where did you find that? I've been looking all over that. And the little cartoon said, I made it myself. So, and it's just such a corny, wonderful, beautiful thing to understand that it's already there. So just have to like tap into it.
And like you said, it lasts longer when it comes from within.
Right.
Because everything in your life can fleet in the moment, it can change, and then you're left with nothing, right?
Right.
So it's very important. So when one lists your accomplishments and like all the places you've been and the things you've done, like sounds, I don't know, almost glamorous, but I know that you have to go through struggle to get to each of those things, and like even just being there, it was a lot of fight and the struggle in general. How do you find happiness when you're like so surrounded of challenges?
With stress, breathing. Seriously, breathing and just kind of not overwhelming the situation like with problems. Because when you're going through something stressful, you tend to like pile on.
Right.
And I think just taking one thing at a time and dealing with it the way that you need to deal with it, the best that you possibly can, might not be, you know, your best always changes. But just taking one problem at a time and breathing and being like, I'm going to get through this. Everything's going to be fine, and not feeling overwhelmed. I think sometimes it's easy to, if you're feeling sad or stressed or overwhelmed or whatever it is, to kind of, you relate to that misery, that feeling, and you want to feel it sometimes. And sometimes it's hard to just like step out of it. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. When you're feeling sad, you want to cry.
You kind of lean into it, right?
Yeah, when you're feeling frustrated, you want to throw something. You want to do all these things, and you know it's healthy to extent to go and break something. But I think also you have to find that place where you have the strength to just step out of it and be like, it's okay, I'm fine, everything's fine. Let me take a deep breath, and I don't need to like completely fall down this hole right now.
Right.
Like I can hold myself up high, and I'm gonna get through it. And like at the end of it, when you go through that, whether it's like a competition show or it's a breakup or it's something that is simple or stupid, stressful, something, being on the subway, not getting to the place where you need to be on time. Like sometimes you just have to step back and be like, it's okay. And at the end, I'm gonna get to where I need to go. And that's all that matters.
Right. And like you mentioned, the contest, the competition shows. Like I've seen you, and it seems like when they're filming, when you're actually competing, it's really, really stressful. Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, you won twice, and I think those, victories are really meaningful for you. Would you say that sometimes like this stress and these negative things are required for you to get somewhere that is worth it?
To that level of stress, I don't know. I mean, you really, when you're on the show, you have to breathe so deeply. Like, you just have to be like, okay, it's fine. Like, where's your brain? Your brain's going like 1,000 miles a minute. But I'd say more than the actual competition, going on Chopped especially, was the process leading up to it. The training for it, as we would say, like, where we did our faux baskets at work, and I had to go through the whole process. I literally, at the end of the first one, was balled up in a little corner, crying, because I was like, I can't do this. I can't be vulnerable on national television. And what if I mess up? And what if I'm not good enough? And what are people gonna think of me if I fail? And it was just so silly to have those thoughts, because there is no failure. You just try. Right. You just do your best. And I just got past that fear of failing. Right. Because it was futile. So I just got more confident in myself, not because like I believed that I was going to be the best and I was going to beat everybody. I just got confident in the abilities that I already had and the strength that I already had. And I was like, all right, I'm going to work with this. This is what I have to work with, and this is what I'm going to go in there. It's not like walking into a room and thinking you're better than everybody else. It's just walking into a room and knowing what you have already.
And
knowing
you're the
who
best
you
you can
are.
be, right?
Right, and being
Yeah.
the best that you can be. And I think once I got that into my brain, that, you know, I was like, well, what do I have to lose? You know, just put yourself out there. And then it just helps you. It really honestly helped me in so many ways in my life to just put myself out there and do something that's scary, that's going to make me better.
Right.
So I think it's important.
I think it is. It is great. Would you say it was worth it? Like all of that?
Oh, absolutely. The $10,000 was definitely a nice little reward too. So yeah, it was definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But I think even if I didn't win, it would have been worth it. So yeah, it's fun.
That's great. So now, I think to become a successful chef, you need to be like creative and develop your own personality, like be recognized by specific things that are very yours.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the relationship between being creative and being happy?
Man, that's a tough relationship that I always have because I mimic a lot, and I think I've been doing that the past couple years of my life. Is where, because you know, you look at art, you mimic it, and I've seen art from very talented chefs that I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Let me try that. And like, I'll always have my little spin on it, but I feel like a lot of what I do right now is mimicking other people. So I need to find my voice in my field, and I think becoming a personal chef is a way that I'm just now starting to see what my style is and those things. So I think right now creativity is definitely where I need to work on, you know, as a chef.
No, actually, I think you have the right approach, because I think many people pay way too much attention to being original first. Like they just want to be themselves, they want to be original. I think it's more important to be good before you are original. Like develop some mastery, develop some knowledge before you actually know the whole palette of things you have to choose from, because otherwise you are trying to reinvent your wheel yourself and you're not really having any progress. You don't even have any standard to know how good you are, because you're just trying to figure out, right?
But I think as far as happiness goes, being creative and being allowed to make food that I don't really have to answer to. I mean, I have to answer to my clients, but they're so happy with the things that I make, and I'm able to say, nobody told me to make this. And, you know, I think that has made me happy on another level, and to be able to take a leap of faith into this industry, and like put myself out there and put my food out there and have it well received is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So you say that you need freedom in order to be creative, and that brings happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's also like roadblocks of like stigmas in this industry, where roadblocks for me, where being a personal chef is not necessarily the most glamorized version of chef. It's like you couldn't make it in a restaurant and sell out, you know. And I think I still struggle with that a little bit when I tell people that I'm a personal chef now, because it sounds better to say I'm a sous chef or I'm an executive sous chef at this restaurant or that restaurant that's well known. So, but that never made me happy.
Right.
That lifestyle never made me happy. So it's stepping into myself and seeing, okay, why was I not happy there? What do you really want? What type of lifestyle do you want? And not caring about what other people's definition of, you know, success is in my industry. So it took a really big, strong leap of faith to step into a world that I know would make me happier, but maybe other people would look down on it. But that freedom to do what I love and to have that one-on-one connection with the people I'm cooking for, and, you know, to make an impact in their lives versus just like throwing out dishes at a restaurant, you know, like to actually be in their homes and cook for their family and like, you know, help them in a way, that to me is happiness in my industry, you know. So, and it does offer me a lot more freedom to come and go as I please.
Yeah, exactly. And actually I think you hit a lot of really important things right there, because first of all, it's like, why do we tie our own happiness to other people's opinions? Like, why is that? Like, nobody really cares about your happiness other than yourself, so why should be conditioned to whatever anybody else has to say about it?
Yeah.
and also about connection. I think that's at the end of the day what all need is to feel we really connecting with other people. Actually, in the bigger picture, that's what we're doing these interviews, so we can actually connect and like people feel identified. And last thing is about selling out. I think that has such a negative connotation, right? Like, especially for creative types, when you, I don't know, like, when you choose a career path that prioritizes some money or maybe some like on some kind of remuneration, they call you a sellout and you're not like really creative or a really artist and that. Because there seems to be like a separation, and I think that's not the case. Like you said, when you went and sold out, you got this freedom to explore and find yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that gives you an advantage position.
I think it's all what you value. I mean, it's silly for people to make definitions of what a career path should be and what it should look like. You know, I don't care about James Beard Awards. You know, I don't care about Michelin stars. It's never been my goal. It's never been, you know, I've never wanted to own a restaurant. I think restaurants are exhausting. I think that, you know, they take time away from family, and I think it's really hard to have a balance in life when you own and operate and you're a chef in a restaurant. Granted, I say this now, who knows what's going to happen in the future, but as of right now in my life, that didn't work for me, and that being a personal chef would sound horrible to, I can count at least 10 people who I know that are chefs. They probably would hate being a personal chef, but that's their career path and that's their life. You know, they want to be behind the scenes and they want the awards and the accolades, and I'm okay with the human, you know, the human interaction. You know, the human element is what I'm trying to say, that was taken out of my life for so long, especially being put into an executive sous chef position. They wanted to take that human element out of me, and I'm Deborah Joy. There will always be that human element in me where I want to give everyone a hug and I want to know about your life and I want to, you know, support you and be there for you. Like, you can't take that out of me. That's part of me. So I had to find something that worked best.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, like figure out yourself, like you said at the beginning. That's great. So now let me ask you another question. What would you say is the hardest thing you've ever done?
The hardest thing I've ever done? The hardest thing I've ever done was learn to love myself. I don't know why it took 31 years, but yeah, that was the hardest thing. Because everything else, I've gone through a lot of very challenging things in my life, mostly dealing with myself. But the most challenging thing, the thing that I could not figure out how to do for so long, and I couldn't understand why, was falling in love with me. And, you know, there was just, it took, you know, reaching rock bottom, then rock bottom lower than that, then rock bottom lower than that, to really, like, hit it and be like, and still get up every single time. And then that last time that I hit it and I got up again, I was like, right, I still keep getting up. So there's still something inside of me that wants to keep going. There's still something that, like, loves and respects me. So let's just tap into that. Let's just, like, talk to her a little bit more because she keeps being strong for me. So, yeah, it took a really long time. And I don't know, you know, obviously we all have mountains to climb when it comes to being a good person, being a good human, and, like, you know, finding ourselves, but it finally clicked. So that, you know, after everything that I've gone through, it led up to that moment. So
no, that's great. That is a great answer, and I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
You can say that confident. I think, first of all, it takes a lot of courage to admit that you struggle loving yourself. I think that to a degree, all of us have an issue doing that. And I think whoever have realized that that's the issue have an advantage over most people. Because we, like, for example, you mentioned about all the chefs that want the accolades and the recognition. I think when you're, like, desperately needing of recognition is because you don't find it inside. You need to, that validation
Right.
And I think that comes from a place where you don't love yourself and you're like not enough and you want.
I can tell you that 95% of chefs don't love themselves. How could you? You have to have something off. No, just kidding. But like, it's an industry full of people with some issues because like, in order to be an amazing chef, you just have to like sacrifice your time and your life, and you make no money and you drink a lot and like the hours are awful, so like everyone has to be like a little bit off to be a chef, so but no, it's nice to, I think those accolades at the end of all of your hard work is like that trophy,
right?
Why are you playing this game and why are you running this race? It's for that medal at the end, so I think that means something to them, is to get that recognition, and more power to them. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting all of it. It's just different for me.
No, I know. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying, like, once you get the trophy, like you called it, like, what's next? Are you happy then? Or are you going to be looking for the next one?
There was a chef, Marco Pierre White, a famous chef, British, and he got the highest that you can get, 3 Michelin stars in all of his restaurants. And he's like, okay, I'm done. And he stopped cooking because he's like, there's nowhere to go up above this. So I guess his joy was in getting those awards. And
so it wasn't in cooking, actually.
It wasn't in cooking.
So you're a chef and your love is not in cooking.
Your love is just getting the award, so who knows?
No, I think that's great. I'm really happy for you. And
thank you.
I wish all of us could reach that point where we're like totally happy with it.
Thanks. I wish everybody could too. It's a good feeling. And so, like I said, mountains to climb still.
No, yeah.
None of us are perfect, but yeah.
I think you're on the right road.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. I guess final question will be, if you have any piece of advice, anything you learned the hard way, or anything you consider is really valuable for people listening to this, what would that be?
There are little moments where it's not huge signs, but there's like a little voice in you that either says something's good for you or it's not good for you. And it's very subtle sometimes. It could be in relationships, it could be in a job, it could be in whatever it is. But we all have that little voice inside of us that's telling us, like, probably shouldn't do that. Or you should go ahead and do this, And I think it's important to, like, get in touch with it. Like, as hard as it is, but, like, just listen to that slight little voice. Like, it always turns on. People say it's signs or whatever, but, like, there's always just, like, this very strong feeling you get in a situation when you start something new, and I think you should pay attention to those things because it's probably end up going to be, whether either keep something going or it ends something. So pay attention to what yourself is saying.
So like, trust your gut?
Trust your gut, yeah.
Yeah.
Trust your gut. It's important to listen to it.
I believe on that. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
I love you.
I love you too.